So you get to see me again on television. Aren't you lucky? Here we are. Now, I know that Sean thinks I'm kind of close, but that's the way it goes. Um, okay, we've traveled a long ways since last September. Okay, when you folks came in last September, you were coming in off of 6 months away from school and not having finished your junior year and having missed out on all of those things that are part of the second half of junior year. And there's a certain specialness to being a junior because at the end of the year, then you're the big guys in the school, and you were deprived of all of that. Okay, now I doubt that many of you shed a lot of tears over that because, of course, it was all new and exciting not to have to go to school and to have school end 3 months early. So that's pretty cool. But really, you did miss out on a lot. And so I feel a little sorry for you for that because you can never really regain that time. So be it. Okay, going forward, you came in September, and to some degree, all of a sudden you were the big guys in school, but some of you were just kind of shell shocked by everything that had happened, and so you needed to grow into being seniors, and you did that over the course of the semester. So that was kind of neat. It was neat to see how you worked on your writing last semester and how you made it better and better. And of course, part of my role, even though I'm teaching you college courses and you're getting college credit for it, I feel like part of my role is to make sure that you're ready so that when you leave here and go on to the next step in your education, that you're really prepared to do that. So I want to talk about some things today that will help you become a little bit more prepared. And I'm going to ask you right away to get a piece of paper and something with which to write, okay? Because I really do want you to make notes on this so this stuff sticks in your head. Now, some of it will be things that I said to you before. Some of you are things that I said to you back in September, but in September, many of you weren't ready to be college students, even though you were starting to take a college course. Okay, so make some notes, jot some stuff down, because I think that will help you remember in the fall or late summer when you guys are. I think you're all going full time to college in the fall. Okay. And pretty much everybody knows now where they're going. I know a few of you are still waiting for your packages to make final decisions, but you have it limited to just a couple, so that's pretty neat. So, what kinds of things can I tell you about to help you for next year? First of all, if you're going to college with the idea that this is great, I'm going to have freedom, I'm going to have so much fun, don't go. Going to college should be enjoyable, but it should also be a serious endeavor. There's a ton of money being invested and a ton of time. And so you really have to go there with a serious frame of mind. You'll have time to have fun, and you should have time to have fun. But you have to go with a serious frame of mind. You have to go a little bit intimidated by this new situation, whether you're living at home or living on a campus someplace. You should be a little bit intimidated by it because it is a new life for you. Some of you will know a few of your classmates. I know that Sean and Tim are going to Lake Erie, okay? So they'll know a couple of guys right away. And there are a few of you going to Canisius, and there are a few of you going to UB. Other than that, I don't remember a lot of duplicates that you're going to. So you'll be in a new world of having to make new friends. When I went to Canisius College, I think 60 of my classmates from Canisius High School went there. So, there were familiar faces around for me all the time. And almost all of us were living at home. So it wasn't the dramatic change that you folks will be going through. One of the interesting things when I went to Canisius College was that probably only 1 out of 4 people who applied there got accepted there. Okay. So that meant that we were among a pretty good group of people, and some really, really intelligent people. And that'll happen to all of you, okay? You'll be among some people that are really bright. You've been going to school with some bright kids, but many of you will be going to school now with the brightest of the brightest. And it's not that you can't compete. It's that you'll need to raise the bar. So, go to school with a serious intention and plan right away to raise the bar on yourself. Okay? That's really important. If you don't, then college will be dreadful for you. College is going to be stressful. Okay? And some of the things that we're going to talk about going forward in this video are going to be ways to help you move around that stress. You can't really move past it, but move around it and move through it. Okay, so that's one. Go with a serious frame of mind. Okay, because you're going to be with, again, you've been with really bright guys. You're going to be with really serious people. Okay, and schools are all co-ed now, so you're going to be around some very bright young women too. And that's good. The other thing that you will encounter when you go there is some people as students who are 15 years older than you are, or who are 10 years older than you are. And so their world of experience is so much bigger. And in a large sense, you have to compete with those people, okay? Because your professors are almost always going to be giving grades on a competitive basis, okay? Because, they'll give you the ramifications, the limits for what you need for an A, except pretty much everybody ends up in a curved kind of situation, and those limits kind of change a little bit over the course of time. So you'll be in competition with these people who also have 10 or 15 years in the work world. So you have to be really ready to compete with them. Okay, so those are some critical things that you need to take with you before you start in college. Okay, a third factor. School starts the first day. Okay. When you've come to high school, you come with the idea that nothing happens the first week. Most of your professors are not going to have that viewpoint. Some will. Some will just pass out the syllabus and talk a little bit about it here and there. But most of them are going to be like, school starts today, and we only have 45 hours worth of classes the entire semester. So we don't have any time to waste. Okay. So school starts that first day. And that first day, your instructor will give you work to do. Even if it's just reading, even if it doesn't involve anything that means picking up a pen or typing on your computer, you do the reading, and then you make notes for yourself on what you read. Okay? Get in the habit of making notes on everything. Now, some of you did that all semester long. I know that. Some of you had your computers open and you were jotting down notes for yourself. I almost encourage you to do that on paper, because I think there's more of a mental imaging that goes on when you write stuff than when you just type it. Because when you read so much stuff online now, and a lot of it is just junk. You know that. Everybody reads stuff online to find out about stuff, and half of it is baloney. Okay, so you never know whether to believe stuff you see online or not. So our mental focus for online stuff is not as powerful as the stuff that we take the time to write. So as you read things, make notes. And in every class that you are in, make notes, okay? Now, I wrote on the board most of the time. Many of your instructors or professors are not going to write on boards. They're going to say things and they're going to expect you to filter out the important stuff. Write it down. And rather than not write it down because you don't think it's important, write down as much as you can without missing too much of what the professor said. Okay? So, from that very first class, take it seriously, do everything that the instructor tells you, and then do more. If they give you a syllabus, don't let yourself get behind. That first day, if your instructor gives you a reading and you don't get it done by the second class, you've already put yourself in a very bad situation. Because that second class that you see the same instructor, the assignment he gives you is going to be even bigger than what he gave you for that first class. Okay, so now you have 2 good assignments just to catch up. Not to stay even, but to catch up. Okay? When you get behind in college, when you get behind, you almost never catch up. No matter what the subject is, when you get behind, you almost never catch up. Okay? And take that seriously, because I've seen it, in my own college days, and I've seen it for the decades that I've been teaching on the college level. Students get behind and they come and talk to you and ask you how they catch up, and they try and they try and they try, but almost never does somebody get caught up. Okay, so don't let yourself fall behind. Now, how do you do that? Well, I already talked about doing stuff that the instructor gives you for each class, before the next class, whether it's written or whether it's just reading and making notes. And even when you do writings, make notes for yourself. Okay. And then when you make those notes for yourself in class, after class, rewrite them so they make sense for you. Because now you will have had them in class, you will have written stuff once in class, and then you will have reviewed it by writing it again in class. And doing things 3 times really cements it in your head, which is what you have to do on a college level, because you're going to have 5 or 6 involved courses where there are high expectations in all of them. So you want to raise the level on yourself as much as possible. So how do you fit this stuff in? If you remember the very first week of class, I had you make a 7-day schedule, 24 hours a day. You want to do that every week, all semester. You want to fill in when your classes are. If you have an hour between classes, then use that class after your first class to review what you did before you go into your next class. Okay? And then, after that second class, if you have 2 hours, review what you did. Okay? That's how you stay on top of things, is by doing things right after class, reviewing, and then for that same class, make sure that you fill in on your schedule where you're going to do what you have to do to be ready for that next class. And again, if you get a syllabus, so you know what that next class is going to be about, do that reading in advance. Then when you go into class, you'll know what the instructor's talking about, and it'll make it all so much easier, because you'll mentally be taking part rather than trying to stay up with. You'll be a part of it. Okay? So if you know what the class is going to be about, read that stuff in advance. So make yourself, every week, make yourself a 7-day schedule, a 24-hour-a-day, 7-day schedule, and fill the whole thing in every week, and then follow it. Now, part of following it is going to be leaving yourself leisure time, leaving yourself sleep time, leaving yourself family time, maybe leaving yourself some TV time, maybe not. It's not that important. It really isn't that important. Okay, leaving yourself just some goof off time, that's okay. But the important thing is plan, let's say you have 15 hours of class a week. Besides those 15 hours of class, plan an additional 2 hours of work for each class. So you're doing 3 hours for each class each week. 3 hours in class and 6 hours outside of class for each class each week. If you do that, you'll you'll stay up with stuff. And the stress gets great when you fall behind because now you're trying to do what you did in class there and you're trying to catch up beside. So you're really doubling your workload. Okay. So it's so critical that you do this stuff. And again, I've been teaching for a long time and I've been trying to help students prepare themselves for class for a long time. So I'm not making this stuff up. Scheduling yourself every week and following that schedule, okay? And that may mean you have plans to go out at 8 o'clock on Friday night and your class got over at 3 o'clock Friday afternoon. So then spend 2 hours on Friday before you go out, either before you go home and have dinner or before you go out for the evening. Spend 2 hours then doing some of your schoolwork. It'll make the rest of your weekend so good. And then, okay, sleep in on Saturday mornings if you don't have to go to work someplace. But then do a couple hours of work on Saturday. Maybe, 3 hours of work. It's not a lot. 3 hours of schoolwork on Saturday. And then if you're going to go out at 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 o'clock, look at you've done 2 hours on Friday and 3 hours on Saturday. And over the course of the weekend, you probably want to do about 8 hours of work. So now you only have to do 2 or 3 hours on Sunday to be up with everything. Okay? I mean, that's amazing because college can be a wonderful experience and the stress can be very small if you make yourself stay up. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Schedule yourself. Start at the beginning. Don't let yourself ever get behind in anything. And keep in mind that all of your professors want you to do well. Yes, some of them may act like SOBs. But if you take the time to go and talk to them and say, I didn't get this, or I really worked hard for that test, and I don't know what I did wrong because, I only got a 72, and I'm working really hard, and I really want to get at least a B plus, A minus in this. Go see them. Go talk to them. Because when students go and talk to their professors know that they're interested, okay? And so talk to your professors a lot. Go and see them a lot. Stay after class, get to class early, find out when their office hours are, and go to see them frequently. If you go to see them and you talk to them about things in class, and if things get in your way, let them know that too. I don't know, you have a car accident and you can't get to school on time. Contact them. Let them know that. Because when you just skip a class, they figure you don't care. So if you don't care, why should they? Okay? And when you miss a class, put it in your head, you're still responsible for everything that happened in that class. So some colleges will have classes that took place in class, but they may put them online too. Fine, check them out that way, but let the instructor know what happened and why you weren't in class. Okay? Because again, your grades, no matter how the numbers add up, there's always a subjective piece to grading too. And the instructor is going to give you the benefit of the doubt if he thinks you've worked hard to try to do the stuff and you've gone out of your way to see him. Okay? It's okay to be a little bit of a pest. Not a big piece of a pest, unless you really need it, but a little bit of a pest. Okay? And then a lot of times, students starting maybe second year form study groups. Well, do that first year. So get to know people in your class, get together, and talk about what you did in class. Study groups. What kind of ideas did you get out of this? You got that idea. Help me with it. Let me tell you about an experience that happened with me, okay? In a philosophy course that I took, the course broke down very neatly into 3 separate parts. So the day before the exam, 2 of my classmates and I got together to form our own little study group. And we should have been doing it all semester, but, I lived at home. One of them lived in the dorm. I was always working at least 20 hours a week. All of this stuff was going on. So, I had a busy life. But we did finally get together. And so the course broke down into 3 parts, and each of us knew one part really, really well. And it just worked out that way. It wasn't by design. So we spent the whole evening and the entire night teaching each other the part that we knew. And so when I took the exam at 9 o'clock the next morning, after having been studying since about 3 o'clock in the afternoon the day before. Okay, and seriously, we did that, and that's part of what you do in college. It's just part of the way college works. When I sat down to take the exam, we had talked about every single thing that appeared on the exam. It's like we had written the exam ourselves, but it's because we shared ideas. Had I tried to do that on myself, it wouldn't have worked so well. But I was able to pick other people's minds all the way along. Okay, so we can learn a lot from other students because we all perceive things differently, and so that helps us broaden our understanding. So I'm trying to give you some tips to make next year and the years after that so much more handleable for you. Okay, always go to class on time. Every class. If you have to schedule 8 o'clock classes, be there on time. It's okay. Be there on time. Okay, do it. Make college your priority. Not the goof off part, but the classes, the preparation for classes. You have to prepare for. It's not just homework. It's preparing for the classes by doing the reading that'll help you know what's going on. So prepare for classes, and then do your work after classes, and then review all of that stuff and prepare for the next class. Okay. And so college can be a joy for you because you can see yourself learning stuff, and then exams aren't going to blow you away. Okay. So anyway, just some thoughts for you. Okay. And so we'll talk about more of this now.